So at 22, I graduated from Aston University, Birmingham. In my head, I had it all figured out. I was going to come back to Nigeria and be the biggest fashion and beauty entrepreneur Nigeria had ever seen. I was in for a rude awakening, definitely. I read the books. I listened to the podcasts. 5 ways to be successful, 10 ways to do this. I did all of that. Even went as far as working for the industry. But it just didn't work out how I planned. So today I'll be taking you through a journey with a little bit of chaos, but a lot of hope and possibilities. To focus on a little place I call home, Nigeria. Have you ever had a bright idea that you believed was about to change the industry? Your name was about to be in lights. This was your moment. You were about to do this. Have you ever felt like it was your time? But it just didn't work out that way. At first, I embarked on my journey into fashion. The idea to me was just what the people needed. I mean, I borrowed most of it from the Western world, so it should work, right? How on earth wouldn't it be great? How wouldn't it work? How would it not be exactly what I thought it would be? I truly believed I was bringing innovation to Nigeria. I was bringing an idea that worked so well everywhere else. So I felt like it was going to do best here. That takes me to my first point. Don't be disconnected. Don't be disconnected from the people, from the culture, from the everything that encompasses the society you're going into. Don't be disconnected from where you are. The people's culture, their needs, and that goes for every industry. You might feel like you have a perfect solution, but your target audience isn't even aware that they have a need. They don't even know they have a problem that needs fixing. And sometimes you might just have to do the extra. The market in Nigeria has its own nuances and sophistication, and you have to learn those nuances. For example, a famous fast fashion brand, Zara. Every store in every country has a different appeal, taking into consideration the people, the culture, the society, and everything that is encompassed in it. We have very diverse cultures in Nigeria as well. And it's important for us to actually look within and make sure that we are actually meeting with what people want. We have a diverse culture linguistically, over 500 languages spoken. So even if you're going from state to state, you might just have to do a little extra in the next state to ensure that you're connected and your products will do best in that state. Let's take, for example, websites and online payments. This is one of my favorites because when I came back, the website idea was huge. Now, this isn't to say that websites don't work here. However, sometimes people like the face-to-face communication or talking through apps like WhatsApp. If you have a business in Nigeria today, there's no way your WhatsApp is not working. You need WhatsApp, you need Instagram DM, Telegram. Those are things that are peculiar to our environment. And sometimes you might just be disconnected. If you go with the website-only approach, sometimes you may miss a big chunk of your clientele. So certain things are peculiar to our country, and those are things that you have to note when bringing a product or service into Nigeria. Other places are heavily website-based, but here it's just not the same. I remember a few years ago, people were very skeptical about using websites. No, I'm going to be scammed. Are you sure do you have an address? Send me your address. I'm coming to check it out. But now things are lighter, but it doesn't take away the fact that people still have a bit of problems with websites and stuff like that. Another example would be with technology and modern developments. Some people you just might have to educate. You might have to invest heavier in educating the people, that the target audience for your particular product. You might just not lean on, oh, I know it's a great idea. It's an innovative idea. It's going to do great. Sometimes you just might have to make sure you speak to your target audience. You get to know what they want, get to know what they need. Tell them a bit more about it, and that makes a whole lot of difference. Another example in Nigeria is not many people have access to credit. Credit abroad is ABC. Almost everybody has credit. Credit can be given to you for your phones, for your cars, for everything. But here, not everyone has the opportunity to have credit. So if you're going into that sort of industry, it's important to look at those disadvantages. And you can always work them to your advantage. With fashion, you get comments about inclusivity, body types. Everybody knows about the African body. We're curvier. I'm not the best example, but hey, the African body. Talking about fashion, it's important that people see themselves in your clothes. The regular body, the average body type, a little fupa here and there to ensure that people feel a part of that. With skincare, I found that personally, just having someone who spoke like everybody else, or who threw in the cheeky pigeon slang, or said certain things in their language, made a whole lot of difference. So for me, that's huge. And it's important for you to note that certain things are just different here. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the strength in numbers. Now, there's a common theme that people believe that once your products are abroad, you've made it. Now, that might just not be the case all the time. Because sometimes it's important for you to wait it out. Sometimes this market alone in Nigeria is stronger. We have states in Nigeria that have over 20 million people. That's the size of about 5 countries elsewhere, but that's a state in Nigeria. Have you actually covered the audience here? How we have 65% youth in Nigeria, which means that your audience is here. It can be here. Some people never have to go abroad or export or all of that. However, if the plan is to export, it's important to have the right things in place. It's important to have the right mechanisms, right? Have everything right. So there's sometimes you just have to play the waiting game. Wait for it, and at some point it would work out in your favor. Talking about waiting, I grew up with a professor as a father. So I heard this a lot. Delayed gratification. All that sounded like to me was the fact that I couldn't do what I wanted to do at the time I wanted to do it. And I hated that. However, now I've learned that certain things, you just have to wait it out. You just have to wait for the right time. To borrow another message from someone, building to last. Are you building to last, or are you building for today? With delayed gratification comes thinking about a flamboyant lifestyle. Sometimes it's just not the time for you to buy that car, for you to move houses, for you to become a millionaire on Instagram. Sometimes you could just wait it out and build, because the foundation is one of the most important things when you're talking of building. So delayed gratification is one of the things that I personally feel is one of the most important things that one can do in business. The next point I'd like to bring up is the power of the pioneer of the industry. We all know that one of the things we must bear in mind is that the opportunity for a local brand to become a household name is huge in Africa. We don't have many household names. We have international brands who have come and built household names. For example, even if I want spaghetti, I say I want Indomie. That's the foreign brand. But there's room for us to actually build our names. I'm sure everyone knows Ebano supermarkets. I'm sure we know the H Medics. That's here and in other places. There's room for that. There's room for your brand to become the household name, and not the ShopRites, but the Ebanos and the H Medics. So those are the kind of industries I feel like we can work on. There is space in the industry for us to grow, for us to become that household name, for your brand, for your skincare brand, for your fashion brand to become that Zara, that Ebano supermarket, those types of names. And there is space in the industry for that. The next thing I want to talk about, like I said earlier, I kind of failed at my first business. And this was something that I feel like I had a chip on my shoulder about. Because admitting that I failed was terrible, especially because of how much and how big I started. Now, failing sometimes can feel like it's hard for you to navigate. A lot of young people I've heard from my friends and family and different young people I meet everywhere. Sometimes you fight for your business. You fight to be able to do your business. You fight to go into business if it's not a normal job, like our parents look at it. You're not a lawyer, you're not a doctor. You're going into something that's different. A lot of us fight to get into those positions. So admitting that we failed is huge. It's hard to do. But sometimes you just might not have failed. You might just have to re-strategize. And there's that fear of re-strategizing because you have to prove the point to your parents. I left this job. I drained my savings. I have to be successful at this. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you just have to go back to the drawing board and start over. You don't necessarily have to start from scratch, but sometimes just auditing and knowing what works and what doesn't work is really important. So re-strategizing is huge. And I feel like we need to give people more of a chance. Even if they're swaying into something else, it's fine. Give them, encourage them, let them know that it's okay. So it's important to re-strategize. Now, lastly, I'll talk about learning from your predecessors. To borrow slang from my language permits me, I'm not great at it. Nkoti agbalagba ri lori ijoko, ọmọdé ò lè rí. Which translates, I hope I did well, which translates to me, what an older person sees sitting down, a young person can't see standing in the highest place. Now, saying that, there's certain things that have happened. We have innovation now, we have social media. And sometimes we just feel like our parents don't know it, or the people who came before us don't know it. Because, we have ChatGPT, we have Google, they didn't. But at the end of the day, there's certain foundations that need to be laid. There's certain things that they have learned. There's certain things that they can pass on, and it's the foundation of the business, and it's important. I'm sure we've all heard about the freedom that is very popular among the Igbo tribe in Nigeria. It's safe to say that the Igbos are the most successful in business in Nigeria, I hope. True? Right, yeah. So it's safe to say that there's something about them learning from their predecessors. There's something about them learning certain things, watching somebody else's mistakes instead of making their own mistakes. There's something about looking at that. And you go in with the right information. So you have your predecessors, you've learned from their mistakes, you have ChatGPT, you have Google, you have everything. So you're going in with more. So at the end of the day, it's important. No matter what industry you're in, there are people who have been there before you. And sometimes you might just have to speak to one of them or ask them about it or follow them through their journey. And it helps for a better rate of success. So to conclude, I'd like to say that there's space and various opportunities, many spots to fill. It's not important to find some sheer work of genius. If you can't, even in chartered territories, you can still succeed. So stay connected. Thank you very much.